Breaking news. Russia's energy exports will bring in an additional $17.7 billion for the country's budget in 2019. According to draft outlines for Russia's budget over the next 3 years, an adjustment to Russia's budget rule next year will make an extra 1.7 trillion rubles, $17.72 billion, available in spending from oil and gas revenues. Russia suspended its budget rule and introduced a version in 2023 that allowed it to spend more and save less from its National Wealth Fund, NWF, after its invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Russia's finance minister Anton Silvanov announced at a government meeting on Friday that the country would return to following its budget rule in 2024, anticipating an oil price of $60 per barrel, rather than a fixed amount of oil and gas revenues, set at 8 trillion rubles in 2023. If there is a shortfall in revenue from oil and gas exports, Russia must sell foreign currency from the wealth fund to make up the difference, and if there is a surplus, it must buy goods and services. According to the draft budget documents, Russia's budget will have a surplus of 9.7 trillion rubles next year due to energy revenues. If more spending is needed, then some deviations from the budget rule without risks to macroeconomic stability are, in my view, necessary, Silvanov said in June, hinting at a possible adjustment. The Russian Ministry of Finance estimates 11.5 trillion rubles in oil and gas revenues for 2024. The NWF is expected to receive an additional 1.8 trillion rubles from oil and gas in 2020. Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin announced on Friday that Russia plans to increase budget spending by 25.8% to 36.6 trillion rubles in 2024, with significant increases in military and social spending expected ahead of a presidential election in March. Russia's special military operation in Ukraine has consumed a large portion of government resources, and social spending is expected to increase in the run-up to the election, where Vladimir Putin is expected to run for re-election for another 6 years as president. As of September 1, the NWF, Russia's emergency fund, held assets worth the equivalent of $142.9 billion, down from $146.3 billion on August 1, or 9.1% of projected 2023 GDP. The exchange rate for $1 in rubles is currently 95.9300. Darya Korzunskaya contributed to reporting. Alexander Marrow wrote the article. Philippa Fletcher edited it. The Polish premiere of the award-winning migration drama, The Green Border, has been met with criticism from the country's right-wing leaders. Polish leaders on the right have spoken out against the premiere of Agnieszka Holland's latest film, Zielonka Granica, The Green Border. They claim that the work's depiction of a migration crisis near the border with Belarus is meant to smear Poland. Even though The Green Border was awarded the Special Jury Prize at this year's Venice Film Festival, it has already been criticized by some Polish government officials, even though those critics admit they haven't seen the film. The film serves as a heartbreaking wake-up call to the EU member states for their inaction in the face of horrors on Europe's doorstep. Dramatizing the plight of migrants from North Africa and the Middle East, the Polish director shows how they are lured to the border between Belarus and Poland by government propaganda promising safe passage into the European Union. Instead, they are geopolitical pawns in a rigged game orchestrated by Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko, caught in a hellish back-and-forth between the Belarusian and Polish governments. See our complete evaluation.